Hello, everybody. I'm Nicholas Snow with PromoHomo.TV. I'm coming to you from what is a very surreal city council meeting and actually it's right before the meeting in Palm Springs, California. It's surreal for a couple of reasons. Number one, the pandemic is happening and very few people are allowed in this actual space for the meeting tonight, although it is broadcast live on local cable systems and of course here on PromoHomo.TV. The other reason that it is a surreal experience is because history is being made in a historic development. Lisa Middleton will be sworn in as the mayor of the city of Palm Springs tonight, becoming the first transgender mayor in California's history and the third ever in American history. That was part of an official release by J&Z Strategies, who are helping Lisa Middleton's campaign for Senate. But that echoes the sentiment that is being reported by tons of media, news media, and also released by the city of Palm Springs as well. So I'm going to be bringing this to you live, and I want to give you sort of a rundown of how it's all going to unfold. And I do want you to know that this is not going to be the first thing on the agenda tonight. There will be some other things that will be happening before Lisa's swearing in. And I will be bringing everything that happens up until the time Lisa is sworn in. And then it will be time to depart because I'm actually only approved to be here during the breaking news portion of the event. So that's specifically what's going on. We're going to start the meeting in about 3 minutes. So I'm going to thank my sponsors and then we'll come back to the meeting live. For their ongoing support of PromoHomo.TV, I would like to thank DAP Health. One of their value statements, we welcome all people, period. I'm a grateful client of DAP and have been for over 10 years. A big shout out to 849 Restaurant and Lounge, including John Pascal and Willie Ryan, longtime supporters of PromoHomo.TV. I want to give a big shout out to the hashtag I Love Gay campaign for helping to expand PromoHomo.TV across the Twitterverse, and to local media partners, KGay 1065 Palm Springs, and their sister companies, the hashtag I Love Gay Palm Springs podcast and GayDesertGuide.lgbt. I'm a proud media sponsor of Palm Springs Pride. Check them out year-round at pspride.org. And I'm proud to shine a media spotlight on the LGBTQ Community Center of the Desert. Their mission statement, creating vibrant community by helping LGBTQ people along their way. Find them at thecentercv.org. So as you can see, it's a very slim attendance here live. And I wanted you to know I will be curating your comments if you should comment on the screen. And since we have a little bit more time to kill, I'm going to let you know how you can make it to my special 60th birthday party, since we have some time to kill. Hey everybody, Nicholas Snow here, the founder, producer, and host of PromoHomo.TV, with information on how you can score an exclusive invitation to my 60th birthday party on the patio right here at 849 Restaurant and Lounge. PromoHomo.TV is free across major social media platforms and at PromoHomo.TV. My goal for my 60th birthday is to find 600 people in the entire world to voluntarily subscribe to PromoHomo.TV for as little as $10 a month. If that's you and you subscribe on or before April 24th, 2022, you'll score an exclusive invitation to my 60th birthday party on the patio right here at 849 Restaurant and Lounge. If you're outside the area and you subscribe before that date or anytime during 2022, I'm going to send you a surprise gift in the 4th month of your support if you're unable to make the party. I'm also offering through April 25th, 2022, 50% off the business listings at PromoHomo.TV, and my goal is to sell out all of my series sponsorships as well. PromoHomo.TV is connecting the circuitry of humanity by creating programming for LGBTQ plus everyone, and together we'll continue to give the gift of PromoHomo.TV to the world. For more information, simply go to patreon.com/PromoHomo.TV. That's patreon.com/PromoHomo.TV. Signing up is easy. I hope to see you here. So Lisa Middleton has just entered the chambers. She's on the podium. She's taking a seat. This is her wife that has just passed the camera. And sorry about this obscured shot. We'll fix that up. So the mayorship of Palm Springs rotates among council members who serve one-year terms. Middleton, who became the first out transgender person elected to a non-judicial position in California in 2017, is also running for state senate and will be the first out transgender state legislature in California history if she wins. And so Lisa, we happen to be live already because we haven't started on time. How are you feeling at this moment?
I'm feeling wonderful.
You knew this would be happening for quite a while because of the rotating of the mayor, but still, it's profound.
It is a really important date for us here locally. It's such a tribute to Palm Springs and to who we are as a city. But I'm just one member of City Council, and but I get to be the presiding officer, and the title mayor is an important title in our community.
Well, I was there the night that you were elected to City Council, and I'm honored to be here tonight, and I'm looking forward to sharing this historic moment, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this.
Well, it's a history in the making. Thank you. Okay, then. Those are members of the Transgender Chorus of Los Angeles on stage. I know that because I saw them rehearse. And so if you're watching live and you want to make comments, I'll be putting them on the screen. So as you can see, the meeting is starting just a little bit late, but I wanted to be here on time and live. And if you are watching live and you comment at any point during the proceeding, if appropriate, I'll put your comments onto the screen. So thank you for being here. That's Amy Blaisdell, the communications representative from the city. That's not her official title, but she's very helpful to those of us in the media. She's speaking with retired city council person Jenny Fote in the front row over there. Jenny Fote was part of a historic election night when she was first elected to city council, along with Ron Oden and Steve Pounier, who were the three openly gay or lesbian people voted into office on that night. That party was at the historic Riviera Hotel, which is now, by the way, called Margaritaville. And so I'm just going to go ahead and share some more information until I need to move aside for the official meeting to begin. Tell you more about Lisa. So Lisa is a neighborhood leader and longtime public servant who currently serves as the mayor pro tem of Los Angeles until tonight when she becomes mayor. When she was first elected to city council in 2017, Middleton became the first transgender person elected to a political office in the state of California. On the Palm Springs City Council, Lisa helped deliver PPE and vaccines to residents during the COVID pandemic, led passage of a solar requirement on all new homes, increased the utilization of green energy by Palm Springs residents and businesses, helped support a booming local economy, increased funding for public safety services and street repairs, helped lead efforts for a generational public works project to bring daily rail service to the San Gorgonio Pass and Coachella Valley, addressed inequity, highlighted the unique challenges of LGBTQ seniors, and led by an example as a transgender woman in elected office. Additionally, Lisa serves on the Riverside County Transportation Commission and the Sunline Transit Board of Directors, where she works with partners from neighboring cities to provide high-quality transportation services to the region. She's also a dedicated regional and statewide leader as a member of the League of California Cities Board of Directors, including serving as the chair of California City's Revenue and Taxation Policy Committee and the California State Department of Transportation Zero Traffic Facilities Task Force. So basically, behind all of our exteriors, it's just a lot of hard work in government. And I admire everyone that stands up to be of service. Prior to her election to the City Council, Lisa served as a member of the Palm Springs Planning Commission, chairwoman of the Organized Neighborhoods of Palm Springs, 1PS, and interim executive director of the LGBTQ Center. She just received their highest honor given by the LGBTQ Community Center of the Desert. I was honored to be there at a glorious dinner recently at the Palm Springs Air Museum, a pandemic-friendly event in an indoor-outdoor space where everyone had to be fully vaccinated. In April 2019, Governor Newsom appointed Lisa to the Board of Administrators of the California Public Employees Retirement System, also known as CalPERS, which provides pensions to 1.9 million people and health benefits to over 1.5 million people, with investment assets exceeding $450 billion. She serves as chair of the organization's Risk and Audit Committee and vice chair of the Governance Committee. This came after Lisa retired from her 36-year career with California State Compensation Insurance Fund, where she moved her way up the ranks. Her first job in government entailed performing Her first job in government entailed performing workers' compensation audits in the factories and meatpacking plants not far from where she grew up. At her retirement, she was the Senior Vice President of Internal Affairs, and she also previously chaired California's Fraud Assessment Commission. I think we're getting underway.
Chambers ready? Is PSCTV ready? We are ready.
Go ahead and get started. Good evening. I hereby call the Palm Springs regular City Council meeting of December 9th, 2021 to order. For those who would like to join us, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. City Clerk, if you could please conduct a roll call.
Councilmember Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Kors. Here. Councilmember Woods. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton. Here. Mayor Blaisdell.
Here.
All councils present.
Thank you. So we have a few short presentations tonight before we move to the appointment of the new incoming mayor and mayor pro tem, which we're so excited about. I know we have some special guests in the audience here to celebrate with us. But first, we have a presentation by the Palm Springs Animal Shelter. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're also excited for your presentation, so thank you.
Thank you too. It's Jenny Folks, and thank you for having us. I remember before COVID, it's kind of nostalgic seeing this, because before COVID we had cats running along the top here, and so it's been a long call to the animal shelter also, but it's been a great time for us because during COVID we did adopt out many cats and many jobs. To keep people company when most of us were at home. So I have with me tonight Bart Berry, who is our Director of Development, and most importantly we have Muppet, who is a rescue, and this dog was so bad when the dog came into the shelter that I want to show you a couple of things. These were the rocks that were embedded into her fur because she had lived out on the streets for so long, and her fur was so matted that we had to shave and take all these rocks out. And the best part of this story is only one of the stories that we have to tell. With some of our other dogs and our cats, there's some really sad stories, but the good stories are the fact that we have, last week we adopted out 7 dogs and 1 cat in 1 day. And so I just want to introduce Bart, who's going to talk to you about
So this is Muppet. She was found under a bridge on Racket Club a few days ago, about 3 or 4 days ago. She was not chipped, microchipped. Nobody has come to claim her. And as Jenny said, she was very, very matted. So we've given her a really good haircut. We had to remove a little growth on the back of her leg, and tomorrow she goes in for some dental work. So by the end of the week, or actually by early next week, she'll be good as new and ready to be adopted. So she is looking forward to her new life. I just want to say on behalf of the Palm Springs Animal Shelter, it's really great to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I joined the staff most recently, and before that I was a small dog walker, so every Monday and Tuesday morning I volunteered at the shelter to walk little dogs like Muppet, and that was really a great experience. So I'm super thrilled to now be a part of the staff. And I want to thank all of you for your continued support of the shelter, because it's very, very meaningful. Just wanted to give you a few statistics if I move my leg just a little bit. There we go. Got it, yep. So since January 1st, we have adopted out 2,575 cats and 1,313 dogs. So all in 2021. So that's really, really amazing. And that's really a testament to the support that you continue to give us. In the shelter right now, we have 162 cats and dogs and 40 in foster. So we are pretty packed to the gills right now. And we do invite the public to come and see who we have in the shelter at this moment and who are up for which animals are up for adoption. And we came up with a pretty novel idea around the holiday season recently. We are going to be offering people the opportunity to purchase adoption gift certificates. So if people know of someone who is interested in adopting, they can buy an adoption certificate for a dog or a cat or a guinea pig. We have a turtle right now too, so if anybody needs a turtle, come on by. And you can give that adoption certificate to somebody as a gift for the holidays. They can then redeem that as they come in and find the animal that they would like to take home. So we invite everyone, the public, to join us. Give us a call, stop by, and learn a little bit more about that and check out the animals that we have. So thank you so much again, and on behalf of Muppets and everybody else, have a great holiday season.
Thank you so
Our
much.
motto is to don't buy for the holidays, adopt for the holidays.
Right.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny and George. And thank you, Muppet.
Yes.
Next, we have a COVID update. So I think the city manager will be describing the COVID update we're receiving tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. We wanted to get you some perspective from medical experts, so we have a couple of guests who can join us. But just wanted to clarify that we do have a deliberation of COVID protocols, and we will do transmission, hospitalization, and other standard data during that time. So I think it's really best during this early portion where we wanted to accommodate busy schedules to hear from some medical experts, get some perspective on our public policies and how they relate to health outcomes, and ask those kinds of questions, just noting that we will have deliberations later on in the agenda.
Thank you. So our first guest, I believe, is by Zoom. So tonight we have Director Kim Solitari from the Riverside County Public Health, and then we also have an update from one of our hospitals. So we will wait for those guests to join the Zoom room, and we'll hear their short updates. Hi, welcome. You're live with the Palm Springs City Council and our community who is watching along. Thank you for joining us. If you could please introduce yourself and then go ahead and give your short COVID update, and then we'll see if the council has any questions for you. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Great, it's wonderful to be with you all tonight. I'm Dr. Eutham Contaxis, and I'm the Medical Director of Tennessee Emergency Department at Eisenhower Health at Rancho Mirage. I was asked, I think, to talk a little bit about COVID-19 currently in the Valley and a little bit of an update. We're seeing about the same level of patients that we've been seeing for the past month or two. It's actually leveled out pretty much, and we're in a little bit of a steady state. I think that vaccination rates in the Coachella Valley have been very good. Up to, I think, 80 to 90%. When you look at Riverside County, it's a lot lower, but I think we've been able in the Valley to increase that, and particularly recently in the East Valley. So that's been a real positive. We have not seen any spike in cases related to the Omicron virus. And it seems like most of the cases for vaccinated individuals are fairly mild, or people are able to manage at home. And many of the admissions are either under-vaccinated, immune compromised, or unvaccinated individuals.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your expertise in providing an update from the hospital and Eisenhower. So I'll ask if council members have any questions. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton.
Doctor, thank you for being with us this evening.
My pleasure.
A couple of steps that we've taken here in Palm Springs that other cities across the country have taken, but not many within our region, is to require that individuals wear a face covering when they are indoors. We have made an exception for individuals that are in dining and bar establishments to allow them to remove the masks when they are indoors eating and drinking, but we've asked in turn that they then demonstrate before entering the bar or restaurant that they have been vaccinated or that they have a negative COVID test within the last few days. Could you comment from a medical perspective as to the efficacy of measures?
Well, it's interesting. I was recently in New York City, which has a citywide mandate for the very same thing, and we would show our IDs and our vaccine status on every time we went out. I think in general, those things will actually help mitigate in the short term. The question is, when does it end, and does that change the overall outcome of the virus? So at some point, we're going to be in a kind of an endemic state with the virus, where it's present in the community, kind of ongoing, and obviously vaccination is the real key to preventing serious illness, but it doesn't mitigate all illness and or transmission based on the studies. The good news is that the Omicron virus is a little less virulent, so it's relatively easily transmittable, but the cases aren't as bad. So we're hopeful, and it seems like the booster is really protective against it, at least for Pfizer. That's the first study we've seen. So those are all good news. You know, in Palm Springs, if you have a local area that follows that protocol, but we don't integrate the entire Coachella Valley, there may not be as much bang for the buck in terms of making those decisions, because there's a lot of cross-pollination throughout the valley. So I would think that the only way that kind of decision-making would work is if there was a collaboration between all of the cities in the Coachella Valley. But even at this time of year, that may not be as effective, because now we're seeing people coming from all over the world, really, to the Coachella Valley. So it's not a closed unit, you might say. I know in Los Angeles, they have similar requirements. They're at about 75% vaccination for all of LA County. Riverside's only 56%, but when you look at the Coachella Valley, we actually are a little better than Los Angeles. So, you know, from a medical perspective, any kind of protection, so you make sure you're vaccinated and you make sure you're wearing a mask, is going to decrease your risk. But there are other consequences, which is, are you just delaying the inevitable, or are we basically, you know, kind of putting a restriction on ourselves that may have other consequences? So mask wearing in young people definitely has some psychological aspects. You know, certain people may not get the vaccine for medical reasons. There are very few, but those people then are restricted from being in public. And there are questions about whether you have the freedom to make a choice. So those things all come into play. From a medical perspective, yes, in the short term it will help, but I'm not so sure that in the long term you're going to see any real change in outcomes overall, say over a year period.
From your experience, and that's very helpful, thank Are there strategies that you are finding that are proving more effective at helping persuade individuals that are on the fence to get the vaccine to in fact go and become vaccinated?
Yeah, and I've done this quite a bit over the last, year, basically, is I really find that lowering the temperature of rhetoric and really talking about the vaccine and how it works and what it's doing, and not making it a panacea for we're going to fix this by everybody getting vaccinated. Well, yes and no, but what we can do is lower your personal risk. And when we talk about it that way, and the risk of the people around you, I think people respond to that better. And I also think explaining it in terms of just specifically how the vaccine works, specifically addressing some mythology about the vaccine with each individual, I find that's really helpful. And I think what we're seeing is a lot of social media influence and a lot of, over the airwaves influence of kind of highly opinionated people that are saying some broad statements that may or may not be accurate. And I think people then start looking for what they want to hear, and it just feeds into their mythology. So I try to take a step back and say, look, tell me where you're at, and let's talk about your concerns about it, and then let me try to show you some information that might be helpful to you. So I think if we do that, we can really address the issue significantly. When people don't get vaccinated, they really are putting themselves at the biggest risk, to be honest with you.
Doctor, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from council members? I don't see any. Doctor, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We appreciate your expertise, sharing it with our community, and everything you've done to save lives over this pandemic. Thank you.
You all for all your support of the hospitals. We really are grateful.
Thank you, Doctor.
Take care.
Thank you. Next, we have our County Public Health Director, their office joining us by Zoom, so we will next call her up.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome. You are live with the Palm Springs City Council. If you're watching the meeting, if you could please mute that and get out of that sharing it with window. Thank you so much. So welcome. You are live with the Palm Springs City Council and our community. If you could please introduce yourself and go forward with your COVID-19 update. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I am Kim Sarwatari, the Director of Public Health for Riverside County, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you for the invitation. I did want to relay some data specific to Palm Springs about COVID-19. So Palm Springs is about 2% of the county population. You account for about 1.7% of our COVID cases right now. So you're slightly better than our county average in terms of cases of COVID-19. I think where Palm Springs really shines, and I appreciate the proactiveness of the council, is the fact that our number of fully vaccinated individuals in the county is at, or the percentage is at 57.1%. In Palm Springs, we are at 80.1%. So you are significantly higher than the county average when it comes to vaccination status, and that's fully vaccinated individuals. Overall, as a county, we are seeing our cases tick up just slightly right now in the last couple of weeks. So our case rate is at 15.6 per 100,000. And our overall positivity, so the percentage of tests that come back positive, we are at 6.1%. We are higher than the California case rate and the California positivity. So we do still have pockets of disease in the county and areas where transmission is occurring. You heard the doctor talk about the Omicron variant. We have not had any confirmed cases of Omicron in Riverside County. However, we do feel like more than likely it is present in our community. It just has not been detected. We are continuing to try to get out into areas where vaccine numbers are not as high, and doing that really in partnership with community-based organizations and faith-based organizations, because we know that people that are part of the community and trusted messengers have much more success. We arm those folks with information, with materials, and then they're out in the community every single day, educating the community, answering questions, and then also partnering with us to make vaccine clinics and testing locations, testing sites available so that people have access in an easy way. So those are kind of a high-level summary of what we're seeing in the county right now. Hospitalizations have remained relatively stable. They go up and down a bit, but we do know that a lot of the hospital numbers that we're seeing overall, when we hear about strain on the hospital system, a lot of those numbers are not due to COVID only. And so I think when we think about the hospital system, the part that is worrisome is if we do see another surge this winter, our hospital system is not down to the level we were at prior to our last winter surge. So in other words, we're starting at a higher level of staff fatigue. We have fewer beds available now than we did when we started our last surge. So that's a bit concerning. We don't have kind of the capacity and flexibility within our healthcare system. Although I will say that our hospital partners have been incredibly creative in dealing with surge and working with staff and trying to accommodate the number of patients they are seeing. So they've been tremendous partners throughout the whole COVID response, and I do want to recognize that. I think that that's kind of a high level overview of what's going on. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director. Thank you so much for that. Do any council members have questions? I see Council Member Dennis Woods.
Thank you very much. Can you tell me what is the CDC's guidelines and the county's guidelines and the effectiveness of wearing a face mask indoors, like at gyms or at retail establishments?
Sure, thank you. So both CDC and CDPH recommend wearing a face covering when you are indoors, mostly because you don't know the vaccination status of others around you, and the virus can still be spread. So the recommendation from both CDC and the state health department is that you wear a mask when you are indoors. And the County of Riverside, we follow the CDPH guidelines and recommendations, so we would also recommend that.
Councilmember Forrest.
Sure, and thank you for being here, and thank you and your team for work throughout this. We really appreciate the availability that everyone in County Public Health has made for us. Is really appreciated by our entire community. Councilmember was just asked, I'm going to ask the other question. So one of the rules we have in place in Palm Springs is that dining indoors in a restaurant or drink in a bar, indoors, you need to be vaccinated or have a recent negative COVID test. Well, outdoors, you don't need that. And later on tonight, we're going to discuss, and there are all kinds of different issues on policies, but it would be good to get your sense if you see that as significantly protective compared to people being in those establishments or workers in the kitchens being unmasked and potentially unvaccinated.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So I think, I would point again to the fact that both CDC and CDPH recommend indoors people do wear masks. I think that there have been lots of studies that show that when you are indoors, you are at higher risk for disease transmission. Outdoors, that risk is lowered. So eating outside is certainly safer than eating inside in a restaurant. And when you are working in a restaurant, then you are constantly around people who are not wearing masks. And so wearing a mask as an employee of a restaurant or a retail establishment or whatever the case may be, I think is an effective tool in minimizing the risk of transmission. And so I do think that those are important strategies for keeping the community safe and keeping employees safe. And I think that there's plenty of science to back that up in terms of kind of the strategies, the layering effect of strategies to prevent COVID-19 transmission. Obviously, vaccination is the best, wearing a mask, social distancing, hand washing, those are really the four big strategies that we point to when it comes to reducing risk.
Thank you. Just follow up, sort of looking at CDC or the California Department sort of best practices. for indoor dining or indoors at a bar where people are not going to be wearing masks because they're eating and drinking, and is requiring everyone who's indoors to be vaccinated or negatively tested from a medical perspective helpful in preventing spread?
Again, I would say certainly it reduces the risk, right? Because if you're vaccinated and you're reducing the risk of transmission. If you're wearing a mask between between eating and drinking, that reduces your risk. If you've recently tested negative, also reduces the risk.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Director. I just have a question about protecting workers. So we've read studies and we've had significant conversations here about restaurant workers, especially cooks, and some of those workers being in the highest, experiencing the highest rates of COVID and even mortality. So could you tell us a little bit about what CDC or other recommendations are in protecting workers in restaurants and other closed and workplace environments?
Sure. Thank you for the question. So I think the strategies are similar to what we just talked about in terms of, certainly vaccination is going to be the best way to protect the employees. And then beyond that, wearing a mask. One of the things that's very difficult to tell when we do a public health investigation, unless there is a clear outbreak going on, it's difficult to tell where an exposure occurred. So if you have employees that are working in an environment, they're living in an environment where perhaps people are not vaccinated, perhaps there are other high-risk individuals, high risk for exposure. It's difficult to say whether the exposure occurred in the workplace or in the home. And so for that reason, I think it's really important that folks are vaccinated and wearing a mask is really, as I mentioned, CDC and CDPH's recommendation for protecting employees. And I think that's a really important strategy when you think about that layering effect, because it's harder for your kitchen staff to have social distance or to do some of the other things that might help protect them. So those are really the two important strategies that would help protect your workers.
Thank you. And do you have updates about the federal requirement to vaccinate workers for employers that have over 100 workers? Is that a current rule or is it tied up in litigation? Is it some updated,
Yeah, so my understanding at this point is that it is tied up in litigation, but I certainly am not an attorney, so probably not the best person to advise you on that.
Thank you. I am an attorney, I still don't know, so I was asking you. And then do you have an update for vaccine and vaccination rollout for children? So I've heard different updates about when children under 5 or over 6 months may have access to the vaccine.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me give you just some quick numbers on where we are with kids that are eligible so far. So in our 12 to 17-year-old population, we have fully vaccinated 105,123 of those kids. So about 49.4% of that eligible population. And then an additional almost 13,000 are partially vaccinated, meaning that they've received one of a 2-dose series, because remember, they are eligible for Pfizer vaccine. In our 5 to 11-year-olds are fully vaccinated. We have 9,262 that are fully vaccinated, and that's 4.1% of the population. And then an additional 13,022 that are partially vaccinated. So again, received 1 dose of the 2-dose series. The numbers are going up. The 5 to 11-year-old was only recently authorized. We have been working closely with school districts to hold vaccination clinics on campus for kind of ease of access so that parents can get kids vaccinated. And we have seen a lot of interest in vaccinating children. When we think about under 5-year-olds, they're still doing some of the studies and evaluating the data. So I think that we're still probably several months away from having vaccination approved for under 5-year-olds. But it's something that we're closely monitoring. And then today, the FDA boosters 16 and 17. So I think we will also see the age of individuals being eligible for that 3rd shot or a booster shot. I think that age will go down over time. So we're now down to 16 instead of 18-year-olds.
Thank you, Director. And I just have one last question for you. You spoke about exposures in the workplace for restaurant workers or other workers in our region. And so we've heard about some exposures at large hotels, for example, with restaurant staff. Do you have any information you could share that might be helpful about exposures or outbreaks that have happened in workplaces?
I don't have those data in front of me. We do publish a report that looks at occupational exposures, but again, very challenging to identify where the source of infection was. We do, just historically throughout the pandemic, some of our higher risk areas would be in the hospitality industry, just because of the fact that they are interacting with the public on a regular basis. And so, that raises the risk for the employees. But in terms of the actual data, I would have to pull the report, and I'm happy to do so and send council for.
Thank you, Director. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton.
Thank you. With the increase in number of people who are eligible for the vaccine, the booster, and Omicron rollout, are we seeing any uptick in the demand for vaccinations, and how satisfied are you with the current level of vaccination sites?
Yes, thank you for those questions. We actually have an uptick in our demand for vaccines. We have had several of our clinics where we're doing 300, 400, 500 vaccines in a single day. Some of our fixed sites had gone down to sometimes 20 vaccines a day, sometimes 30. They're now up between 100 and 200 vaccines per day. And so we do attribute that to both increased eligibility in terms of age and also people who are, hearing about the Omicron variant, and perhaps that's encouraging them to get vaccinated. In terms of the number of sites, we as Riverside County have 5 mobile teams that we have distributed throughout the county. So we will set up sites based on need, based on where our vaccination rates are low. And those teams have been very successful in vaccinating. In terms of our fixed sites, we have 2 fixed sites. We found that our mobile teams are more successful at vaccinating than our fixed sites at this point, because the huge volume is not there. So our mobile teams are much more nimble. But beyond that, Riverside County Public Health only does about 8 to 12% of the total vaccines throughout the county. So the rest of the vaccinations are being done by private providers, by SQHCs, by pharmacies throughout the county. And we have around, let me see if I have my number exactly, around 230 approved providers to vaccinate in Riverside County. So the vaccine is available. I do want to just recognize, though, and underscore the fact that there are segments of the population that don't have access because they don't have transportation, they don't live near a bus, those types of things. And so for those populations, we work very closely with our community and faith-based organizations to try to make transportation available, or to bring mobile teams into those areas so that access is not a barrier to getting there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any final questions from council members? Seeing none, thank you so much for your work. I mean, we've seen you at these meetings, at multiple community meetings. We know you've been working incredibly hard to distribute vaccines, distribute public health information to our community, and we very much appreciate your hard work over these last 18 months or longer. So thank you very much, Director.
Very much to all of you as well.
Thank you. Have a great evening. And just for the public who's watching along, so we are deliberating or discussing and deciding that issue about COVID restrictions later on in the evening, but because of schedules, we had to hear those presentations right now. So we're gonna hold that item and then discuss it as a council later on in the meeting. And now we are moving on to our next presentation, which is appointment of our incoming mayor and mayor pro tem. City Clerk, if we could please have a staff report.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, Pursuant to resolution number 24593, at the first meeting in December, the current Mayor Pro Tem shall succeed to the position of mayor, and the council member in the next sequential district shall be appointed Mayor Pro Tem. Based on this rotation, Lisa Middleton should be appointed mayor, and Grace Garner should be appointed Mayor Pro Tem. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you. So next we'll move forward for the oath of office ceremony.
We should do a motion.
Oh, sorry. I got excited. I want to do the ceremony. So can we have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Woods.
Yes.
Councilmember Court.
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton.
Aye.
Mayor Holstead.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Now we will move on to the more exciting part, which is the oath of office by outgoing Mayor Holstead to Mayor Middleton. So we'll go ahead and go up here next to the flag, and we will do the oath of office ceremony. So you're going to repeat after me. I, Lisa Middleton,
I, Lisa Middleton,
that while serving as the mayor of the city of Palm Springs,
that will serve as the mayor of the city of Palm Springs,
do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Thank you. Here you go.
Thank you.
So next, we have Lily Suarez from Congressman Ruiz's office, who is here to present a proclamation to our new mayor, Mayor Middleton.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lily Suarez. Congressman Ruiz, unfortunately, he is in Washington, D.C. and unable to be here physically. But on his behalf, I am happy to present to you this certificate of congressional recognition in honor of being appointed mayor of Palm Springs. Congratulations, in addition, for being the first transgender mayor in California's history here in our very own city of Palm
Palm Springs. On behalf of the people of California's 36th Congressional District, thank you so much for your dedicated service and congratulations.
Thank you. Next, we have comments from any council members, and it says comments from Outgoing Mayor. I'm gonna hold my comments, because I'd like to give an update about what we've achieved in the last year as a city council, but to not take away the moment, this historic moment really for the state of California, the country, and our city, and swearing in Mayor Middleton. I'll reserve those, and we will move to a performance by the Trans Chorus of Los Angeles. So we're so honored to have you here in the city of Palm Springs tonight. Thank you for being here. We very much appreciate it. So we will go ahead with your presentation performance.
If you're really listening, you wanna sing along with all the voices crying out we're one. If you're really watching, you wonder with me. There's no difference between you and me. I may not walk a mile in your shoes. But if we go the distance together, we can prove. When you look in your heart and find love, you are victorious. We need love to be who we are. 'Cause love is victorious. Every voice is a voice. And love is victorious. We all have a choice to love. We are victorious. If you ever had a dream, you had to be inside to live free and be genuine. At the heart of bravery, there's no giving up. Don't give up. I may not walk a mile in your shoes. But if we go the distance together, we can prove when you look in your heart and find love, you are victorious. We need love to be who we are. 'Cause love is victorious. Every voice is a voice. And love is victorious. We all have a choice to love. We are victorious. When you look in your heart and find love, you are victorious. We need love to be who we are. 'Cause love is victorious. Every voice is a voice. And love is victorious. We all have a choice to love. We are victorious. Congratulations, Mayor.
wonderful performance. Thank you so much for gifting our community with that. We really appreciate you being here tonight and honoring Mayor Middleton and her historic appointment as mayor. So with that, I will move to our next mayor for her comments. People are already calling you.
Asking for favors.
Thank you. I believe the two most important words in the English language are thank you. My thank yous always begin with my wife and my children. But I also want to add tonight a very large thank you to Outgoing Mayor Christy Holstage for your leadership over this past most difficult year. As with Mayor Corns, you are unable to enjoy conducting public meetings in a public place with public presence. I thank you for swearing me in. The example of a departing leader passing responsibility to an incoming leader is something we used to take for granted, but we don't anymore. My thanks and congratulations for the opportunity to serve with Mayor Pro Tem Garner. I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Lily and Congressman Ruiz for your support. To Carolyn Coleman, the Executive Director of the League of California Cities, for being here this evening. I am awed by the Trans Chorus of Los Angeles, and yes, tonight we are, in fact, victorious. Thank you to my colleagues for this opportunity. I will do my best when speaking on behalf of our city and our council to reflect a unified voice with full respect to the unique views and our individual responsibilities to our districts. Thank you to all the men and women who are employed by the City of Palm Springs. It is because of you and your work that we matter to the residents and visitors of our city. You are, in fact, the ones who make a difference. Most importantly, thank you to the people of this incredible, unique place we call home, Palm Springs. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you. Thank you for the trust you place in each of us. Municipal government is the most accessible of all government entities. You have our phone numbers, our email addresses, you know where we live, and you stop us in grocery aisles, hardware stores, and pretty much everywhere we go. I'll never forget being stopped by a constituent at a farmer's market in Santa Fe, New Mexico. That is as it should be. Earlier this week, we recognized our police and firefighters, honoring over a dozen of our public safety professionals, men and women who literally saved lives and showed extraordinary courage, putting their life at risk in order to save someone else's life. In this city, as in other cities, we have serious challenges before us. We have to respond to the COVID pandemic and the pandemic of homelessness. It is past time that California figure out once again how to build an adequate supply of housing. Each of us has a role to play in addressing climate change. But let me talk about something else this evening. There are 19,495 incorporated cities in the United States. There have been cities in our country for over 400 years. And tonight, for only the third time, history of this country, a transgender American has been sworn in to be mayor of an American city. It has been 69 years since Christine Jorgensen was outed on page 1 of the New York Daily News with a headline equal to that used to announce the end of World War. 52 years since Marsha P. Johnson stood up at Stonewall. 48 years since Jan Morris helped change my life with the publication of Conundrum. Tragically, though, it has only been a few days since the last elected official, virtually, if not literally, stood in a doorway blocking a transgender child from full access to a public school, a public playground, and in some states, from the accepted standards of medical care for transgender youth. To be transgender in America today is to know both hope and fear. Our fears are grounded in the lived experience of each of us. They are grounded in the lives lost to violence, to the jobs we did not get, or the jobs we were not able to keep. They are grounded in the health care that was specifically barred from us. But nothing offers more hope than the loving parents of transgender children standing up to the bullies and standing up for their children to be able to grow up to be adults living full, authentic, and equal lives. For every elected official blocking doorways, there are others opening doors. And across the country, there are places like Palm Springs where the welcome mat is out. I am so grateful and proud of my hometown. Whether you are a lifelong desert rat or a convert to Palm Springs, you have welcomed Cheryl and I with open arms. Every day I encounter people in this city making a difference in restaurants, retail, the arts, government, and every walk of life. Their talent is world class. But for so many, where they were raised, it was not their talent, their work ethic, or their compassion that mattered. It was simply who they were. Turned away at home, we have made a new home and a new family here in Palm Springs. Our work in this city is far from done, but in this city, it will always matter most what you are willing to work for and what you are prepared to give back to others. My thanks, and let's get back to work.
History being made here in Palm Springs, California, live on PromoHomo.TV.
Congratulations, Lisa. Mayor Middleton. We will now recess for 10 minutes, and then we will go back to our offices and complete the meeting by Zoom. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for celebrating with our community.
So if you viewers will bear with me, I'm going to turn the camera around right now. Here we're going to the front camera and give myself some light. And I'm going to go to the front of the building. And if so, this isn't open to the public, so this front entrance is actually locked. But, okay, so here I am in front of Palm Springs City Hall. And I'm really honored that I was able to bring that historic coverage to you today. And I didn't anticipate that I would be showing a lot of the meeting beforehand, but I'm just very excited that this happened tonight. It was broadcast locally on our local cable system, but I do believe that my broadcast was the only other broadcast that happened. And because I got so much of the meeting, it's a broadcast of record. I don't have any fresh comments on screen, but I would just simply like to say that I'm grateful that I'm living in a world that continues to evolve. I'm grateful for everyone that chooses to express their truth. And I think that that's what creates change in all of us, when we're willing to express our truth to the people we influence. I also think to the extent that we as individuals withhold our knowledge about any given subject is to the extent we are accountable for the ramifications of ongoing ignorance about those same subjects. So if you know something, if you have a truth and you're keeping it to yourself, shine your light into the darkness. It's been decades of actions like that, in many ways centuries of actions like that, that continue to move us forward. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but things will materialize when we work for them. That's a paraphrase of a very famous piece of literature. If you know what that is, we're friends of Bill. At any rate, I want to thank you so much for watching this live edition of PromoHomo.TV, and I appreciate your support as well. Have a great night. Time for me to wrap it up.
And I just can't get enough of your